Okay, so truth be told, I did work for Morgan Stanley. Truth be told, if you want, you can look that up on the SEC website. It's all public knowledge. You can also check and see if there's any charges or claims against any of the financial advisors in the financial services industry. So just like you can also check the bar association, just like you can also contact the boards of medicine to check out doctors, okay? But I'm not in the industry. And so when I was in the industry, I was told that the bar exam is the 7 and the 66. And I was studying, and I was having to study digitally. And there was a guy, his name was Buzz, nickname of course, but nice man. And he was, I guess, molding the guy that hired me. You know what, folks? I mean, I walked through that door. It was a snowstorm. I had a camera around my neck, and I was dressed in a snowsuit. That was how I showed up for my Morgan Stanley interview. They hired me, okay? When I left, I had been working my knuckles to my white finger. Like, I mean, I did everything and more. That's my MO. You do it, and you do it excellent. You do everything and more. So you find out what the specifications is, and then you polish it, right? Like, make sure that it looks better. If you borrow something, you return it with, like, if you borrow someone's gas lawnmower, you return it with a full tank of gas, or, you just don't take advantage of people. So anyway, yeah. And then, of course, I had so much HR before that, and I was really a watchdog about, you don't take advantage of employees, right? Like, I was hard. You can talk, you can find out how tough I was. Now, at the same time, I was sort of brought up in HR by a Toyota guy, and he wasn't Japanese, but he was solid. I remember shaking his hand when I first met him. I was coming from a non-tech, very non-digital space into a highly technical space. I remember shaking this man's hand and realizing something's up. Like, I could tell he was sick. And then, later on came to find out that he had just kicked the butt of a, pretty nasty illness. I could sense it. I remember when I was interviewing with this gentleman, and he was like, you're going to like working for me. I'm going to teach you a lot. And I thought, And he did. I mean, he did. I learned so much about HR, and I learned so much. He used to say to me, my mom used to say this. She used to say, "You can't take it back, so don't say it." Right? Like, choose your words wisely. Right? Like, you don't get to unsay stuff. And so I took that very seriously. Took it into the workplace. I did my best to elicit trust with I don't know if that's a word, to establish trust with my people. There's a lot of people that worked at the company in which I'm referring to in the early 2000s. I mean, by my calculations, over 10,000, okay, as far as our attrition numbers. I interfaced with every government agency, in regards to employment. In the public, I showed up, I knew the adjudicator. The adjudicator knew me. When we closed down, so it's true that certain things are in the public arena. I recently just saw a little snippet of, this is what the WARN Act, if you're afraid that your large corporation is going to do layoffs, you can actually watch, or, you can pay attention to what the WARN Act says, and actually things go in cycles. I mean, the worst time, I think, for a layoff, and we were going to lay off people between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I was like, no, absolutely not. We are going to lay them off earlier. We are going to warn them earlier. Because after Black Friday, people have already spent their money, and if we give them a layoff notice, suddenly they've already bought their Christmas presents and they cannot plan accordingly. We brought in, I think we did 3 job fairs. I mean, we opened up. I had somebody, I don't even know who it was, who was like, who is she? What are you running the place? He said this to me, like, what are you running the place? Yeah, I was running the show, but I had backup. This man that hired me was the best boss I ever had. Now, I was second in charge and completely ill-equipped on September 11th. We had a gentleman in from corporate. He's like, do you even watch the news? I didn't even know what was going on in the Middle East, right? I mean, I didn't know about Saddam Hussein. I didn't know about any of the terrorists, And I can remember him saying to me, don't you watch the news? And I said, no, I don't have time to watch the news. I'm a mother. I have 3 small children. At that point, I had 2 babies. Well, 3. And a husband. And, I was running and operating a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week call center, on call 24/7. Now, we had security. We contracted for it. I had, resources to, at one point, I counted. There was like 10 different attorneys that I'd spoken to or was coordinating with because of the claims that were coming at us. And then, got word to me that, somebody from the University of Toledo who had been involved with me in my previous employer, wanted to get into, wanted to see our data, blah, 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 because we had big data. It was a long time ago, because it's 2024. Listen, people, especially you young people, figure out how things work. Right now, I'm actually trying to teach myself and learn about cryptocurrency. And the reason is in 2008, Bitcoin came out. That is finite, okay? What I can't get my head around are derivatives, right? And I like now that I can purchase segments of stock. I'm not certified as 7 or 66, and I do not have my insurance license. In the past, I've been certified as PHR, which is Professional Human Resources. I really was going to become an attorney, but was dissuaded from it because my boss, who brought me in at Dana when they were going through Chapter 11 bankruptcy, when I was helping him prepare and prepping him for the deposition, and he was like, you don't have time, you don't go to law school. I did get my MBA and signed up for my MBA, and my boss, who was new blood, if you will, at Dana, she hated me. She came in and, for all intents and purposes, took my information and prettied it up and made herself look like a beauty queen, and I lost my job. It's a shame. Well, anyway, it really bruised my, it just, I loved Dana. I loved the culture, and I loved the old school. I loved the tradition, but I also loved that it was a growing organization. It was a learning organization. They had grown to a point where they had a university internally. They had their own credit internally. I understood what a holding company was because I was working for Dana Holdings. I understood mechanics of bankruptcy. I understood divestitures. I understood mergers and acquisitions. I understood Forex. I understood. Listen, young people, your time is now. Get your tails into co-ops, okay? And learn how things work. And if it's I would highly recommend 3 things. Corporation. Do anything and everything and then some as a co-op person, okay? So much so that they don't want you to go away. They want to offer you a job, okay? So, and I'm not talking about the brown nose yes man. That's not me. Okay? I'm talking about, okay, what do I need to do? Provide excellence. Okay. All right. And I'm not saying burn yourself out either. You are young. You do not have families, right? Probably living with the support of a parent or your parents if you're in college, I would hope. If you're not, just keep going, okay? Don't give up. Don't give up on yourself. And if you started college, finish it, okay? Get the degree. There's something to be said for finishing the degree. Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, these guys are outliers. They dumped their college, but what they did is they went off on their own tangents and built their niche. And that's kind of the story that I think people miss with Einstein too, right? People thought he was an idiot. My boss thought I was an idiot. She wouldn't even sign. She said, no, you're not smart enough. You're not smart enough to get, and one of the controllers there recommended, a couple of Amy's, right? One of the controllers there recommended that I go back to school. I was like, I don't know what I do. She goes, go for business. I started, typically I do 3 things, right? I look, okay, in this market, small market. I looked at University of Toledo, I looked at BG, and, I looked at, from a master's standpoint, Lourdes University. Lourdes had, at that time, a master's in organizational development. I already know how to do that. I already know how to do that. I already knew how to do that. I would have taught the professor, no offense. Well, anyway, so for all you youngins, you have tremendous, let me tell you the opportunity that you need to make sure you don't miss, okay? High schools in this country, colleges in this country have tremendous access to technology. Even when you get into the big corporations, that technology is not instituted across the board. Therefore, you probably are going to have to learn databases. At one of the organizations in which I worked for, I had 22 passwords, username and passwords, in a corporation. Think about that. 22 software systems. Technology isn't going away. It's not. It's not going away. Watch the technology, okay? But here's what I'm trying to get through to you, young people. Learn as much and use as much as you can when you're in high school and when you are in college. You're going to get cutting edge and newer technology. You will have access. Take your college learning seriously. Learn, be passionate about not just learning what the professor suggests that you teach that professor. I can remember my son's first term at the University of Cincinnati. No offense, I love UC, right? But my son's first, he's like, Mom, you're smarter than my professors. And that was a true blue compliment. That was totally like, and I was like, well, just ask this question. He's like, Mom, seriously, they don't know, and they don't care. And that very well may be true, but establishing relationships. If you have a professor or somebody at the university who takes like an interest in you, or I'm going to say, this is what I'm going to call it, an academic interest or an intellectual interest in you, allow for a mentoring relationship to occur. Here's a good movie for you all, collegies, high schoolers. It's called 21. Sorry. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm wrapping up. It's been 15 minutes. And so you don't need fancy software to get a project done. You need a beginning, a middle, and an end. And just so you know, the middle is where the collaboration happens. I have had and been through organizations where I've started it, launched it, finished it, and then they kick me out the door, and then other people get bonuses because of the achievement. It's the way it is, baby. If you've ever watched The Incredibles, and I am not big on the ego play or anything, but in The Incredibles, they tell Dash, not so fast, right? If you're so good, believe me, people will want to get your ass out. And I'm not telling you not to be excellent. I'm actually telling you to be excellent. Your education, your kindness, your learning, your gratuitous and generosity will pay dividends. And it may not be in the form of fiat money or cryptocurrency. That's just the way it is. All right, sweets. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a good one. And yeah, thanks so much. I appreciate your time so much. Have a good one. And yeah, look around. Be good to yourself and be good to others. Okay? All right. Take care. Goodbye.